Well, welcome to the Cougar Land podcast. Special guest Mike Pettey, and this is the new SEB, but actually it's the Cougar Land podcast. So, if SEB had a TV show where it talked to the alumni, this is what it would look like, I guess. You and I have lived in similar places. We both are fans of Santa Cruz, Seascape, Capitola. You spent some
Yes,
years.
sir.
So, how long were you up there for?
I was in Santa Cruz. Well, I lived in Santa Cruz. I lived in Soquel. I lived in Aptos. I lived in Scotts Valley. But in that area from 1997 to 2002.
That's pretty cool. That was quite a run. So how'd you end up there? Did you have some friends up there, or?
Well, as you know, I'm a guitar player, and I had a little band, and I met this young hippie chick. Santa Cruz is kind of famous for hippies. I met this young hippie girl, very talented, beautiful, and we hit it off, and I ended up moving up there with her to pursue music.
That's pretty cool. And then you fell in love with the place by virtue
Yes,
of that,
absolutely.
right?
Oh, man. Yes.
You know, I'm gonna trip you out. I'm gonna show you the old flashback here of us. This must have been North 40, my graduation year. You might have been visiting. I'm not sure when it was exactly. But there's this photo I have of you and me and a couple of gals here. See? There you
Yes. Yeah,
Right?
that's me in the middle.
There's Jenny, there's Laura, and there's JoJo, and there's you and me. See right there?
That's Wendy. That's Wendy next to my left.
To your left?
Wendy Rashta, right?
I don't think so. No. Nope.
Oh, okay.
That's
My
Jennifer.
bad.
It's Jennifer Watson, and that's Laura. You gotta get the names right. JoJo Dennis. And there's
JoJo
you.
Dennis?
Look at the hairstyle. And I'm trying to get my hair back right now. See? Trying to grow that blonde hair back, that mop, trying to line it up. But
Right.
I thought that would be fun just to show you that.
That's a great picture. I love that.
So what year did you graduate? What was your years in Vicenza? What years were you there?
My years of Vicenza were 80 to 82.
Mm-hmm.
I graduated in 82. I went back. Well, I met Peggy Mescal
Mm-hmm.
in high school, and we moved together back to Texas, where she was from. And then things happened. It didn't work out, and I moved back to Vicenza in 84.
Okay, that's why you're in the picture.
Yes, so
So were
84
you-
to 80, 84, 85, and then we moved up to Germany. I moved up to Germany for like a year and a half.
Did you come back and visit like in that 86 era? Because I think that picture's 86. Would you come back once in a while to Vicenza?
No, I don't think that. 86 is, no. I think it was earlier than that.
Could have been then. Could have been 85.
Could have been late 84 or maybe 85, but I thought I was in Germany in 85.
Yeah. So were you working with on the army bases or something back then, or going to school?
No, when I came back?
Yeah.
Yeah, when I came back, I did night classes for U of Maryland, European Division, night classes at the school there. And then kind of fell apart,
Hey,
So,
it's hard to finish, man. I don't know too many major grads from there. There's a few people that did, but like in an earlier podcast, Derek was alluding to, hey, I went to University of Maryland in Munich, and he's like, it was so off the chain, the party environment, that he's like, I wasn't going to finish it. At 9 months, I was out of there. But he did say there was some professional students, and maybe they were just extending their eternal visa and hanging out in Munich, like 8-year associate degree students, right?
I did see that. I saw your podcast with Derek. That was cool.
That was pretty funny. So
Yeah.
now you were there, you said 82 you graduated. So you were a year ahead of Derek. So you knew Derek then.
I knew Derek, yes.
And who else was who did you hang out with? Who was in your graduating class?
Well, I hung out with like Jack Porter, Mike McCraney, Harry Austin. There's a whole gang of us. McIntosh.
These names are all familiar. I'm like,
They're probably a little bit older than you, I think.
Yeah, well, I was a little kid riding around on the bus with my dad sometimes, going to sports games. You were into the music thing. Did you know?
I was into the music thing. There was kind of three categories at VH. There was the jocks. They hung out together. There was the smart kids that we called pencil pushers, they hung out. And then there was kind of we called ourselves the heads. We liked to party, we liked to drink and such.
Yeah.
We spent a lot of time at Partico Quattini and
Oh,
that
I
type of
spent
thing.
some time over on that picnic bench,
Oh,
or
yeah.
that North 40 party, or Villaggio, or wherever it was going down.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Brian Dahl was another one.
wow, I'm getting new names out of you today, and I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah.
okay, it's like because everybody has their little crew they hung out with, and a lot of that had to do with where you live. So, did you live in Villaggio, or were you stationed off on the economy somewhere?
No, I lived on the economy, kind of between the main gate and downtown Vicenza.
Okay. So you were kind of close. Like you didn't miss much. If you wanted to go mix it up in Villaggio, that wasn't too far.
Oh,
For
yeah,
me,
no problem. Other side of midnight, if you remember that.
yeah,
The train tracks, yeah.
of course. Oh, I know where that was. Yeah, I'm pretty
Yeah, the train
familiar.
tracks as you walked from the post to,
That bridge, the bridge that was
yeah,
going to downtown, right?
yep.
Yeah, I remember that bridge. I remember riding my moped to it because I lived further out by the Palace Sport. There's an airport like further out, so sometimes your experience was based on where you lived. Like
Right.
you know, if you didn't live next to a bunch of American girls and other guys did, they ended up dating them and you ended up not dating anybody because you lived in the boonies. And that was all
Right.
unless you were hanging out on post all damn day. But
Right.
a lot of situational things, like some friendships were formed based on where you lived and what you did. And
Of
who lived
course.
next to you, who was on the bus with you, where did they get off? Oh, he's one stop, he's a 5-minute walk, I'll go to his house, check out his Rush album or whatever, that let's barter some music or something, right?
Right.
What was some of the fun that you like to do? I know it sounds like you like to, since you're hanging with the heads, that says everything, which I was too. So there's no shame in this. You're not being interviewed by the pencil pusher gang. And you know what? They're all great people too. But the funny part is, yes, we used Italy as the funnest place on earth. It was the palette to paint your painting the way you wanted. So
Sure.
where would you go on the weekends? What kind of hangs would you do?
Hangs were, like Derek was saying, Venice was so close, you could jump on a train and be there real quick. So we'd go to Venice, hang out in the park, house parties, and I always had a guitar. I always brought my guitar around and played. And that's kind of ride bikes. That's kind of like what we like to do. And we could drink, at 16, we were drinking in bars. I got there when I was 16 and I'm drinking in bars. It was
Where were
kind of
you coming?
unreal.
Where were you coming from? Where were you coming from to Italy?
Las Vegas.
Oh my goodness!
So
Viva
yeah,
Vicenza, right? Viva Vicenza,
yeah,
right?
Viva
What
Vicenza.
what a trip! So you come from the party capital city, but the casinos were pretty strict. They weren't letting kids run wild like Italy.
No, no,
You
no,
had new
no, no. But there
freedoms.
wasn't much to do in in the 70s. There wasn't much to do for kids in Las Vegas. So we ended up doing our own little parties, I guess. Um, but Vicenza, I really do miss Vicenza. I haven't been back, but I've dreamt about it. We were just such a close knit group of people, small school. I mean, I still feel really close to a lot of people that I went to school with. And, I talk to Harry Austin all the time. He calls me all the time. I talk to Brian Farrell occasionally, if you knew him.
Name's familiar. At
You
this
might know
age,
his
like I need a
sister or his
yearbook,
brother.
right? Who's
Right.
brother? Whose brother?
Colleen Farrell,
Okay, I
her
think
older
I
brother.
remember him now. Yeah, I think I
Yeah.
remember now.
So I do still talk, and on Facebook, I have a lot of people on Facebook, and I got to say something. I wanted to say a shout out to in 2011, I came down with lymphoma. I was living up in Portland and I came down with lymphoma. And we were, me and my girlfriend were struggling, and my sister put out a GoFund, and a
Hmm.
lot of great people from Vicenza reached out and helped me out. And I just wanted to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. I'm still here. That
Awesome.
was 8, 9 years ago. I'm still here. And I just wanted to thank you for that help. That was really, really amazing.
That's pretty
Thank
cool.
you.
I did not know that was part of the narrative. That's awesome. That's great to find out, man. I
Yeah.
think, those were formative years. I mean, you at 16, I started there at 5. Some people are there for 6 months, but I've still
Right.
looked them up. Like we had a buddy, David Doherty, talked about him on another podcast, talked to him recently. My buddy Mark Parkins went and visited him up in Colorado and went skiing with him. And we only hung out with him for 6 months, but he made such an impact on us. Like, we had fun with him. We're like, this is a cool guy. And so, but he would go back to like Dubai or some private school in Greece or Saudi Arabia or something, because his dad was doing some private contracting work or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
what's crazy is that, imagine him, he probably has more of a base in that other school, where he spent most of his years. But the people looking him up are the people from Vicenza that knew him for 6 months. It's kind
Yeah,
of
it was such
ironic.
like you and Derek were saying, it was just such an amazing experience. And I was there a year and a half, really. I mean, when I look at maybe almost 2 years, but that's a really short time frame. But how close everybody was, because, if you didn't speak Italian, you relied on the American kids to hang out with. You might have had a few Italian friends that spoke English, but I think my graduating class was 47.
47?
And 47.
I think ours was 42. Never
And
much more than that. Maybe 48 was the
yeah.
biggest I heard of. I'm not sure. Someone might correct me on that later.
And did you graduate at Teatro Olimpico?
Oh, no. I actually got a GED, and I
Okay.
stopped doing homework. So I was the black sheep, and that's why I should be running the podcast.
That's right.
That's how it works. It doesn't mean it's an eternal damnation. You know what I mean? Don't call it a comeback. We're here.
That's right.
But the thing is, did you find when you took this story, when you'd be rapping with some of your American buddies, yeah, I was in Italy, we're in Venice, I'm jamming my guitar, we're on the Lido, and we're on a train, man. And they're like, what are you talking about? I get that a lot when I first get
they have no clue. I mean, that's the thing, is why I think part of the reason we're so tight is because we understand each other. American people, I tried to explain how it was over there, and they don't really have a clue. They can't visualize exactly the way it was. It was an amazing experience for young kids like us. We got to see some amazing things that people dream of going to Italy and experiencing Italy. And, it was given to us. It was laid out before us.
Right. I mean, it's like we all share in the same dream. We were all on the same trip, man. It's like we're all riding the same wave, but no one else got to ride that wave, because think about it. I like to use the statistical analogy. 1% of the country serves and protects the country. So that's 1% of 350 million. That's like 3 million, 3.5 million of multiple different forces. You might be in the Navy and never get stationed in Vicenza, except for the Poplinskis, Kenny Poplinski and his sister's dad.
I remember Kenny.
Yeah. Well, I was talking to Terry, and, their dad was the journalist. He was a JO. He worked at SEB. So he was helping run SEB. And he was the only guy in a Navy uniform that I'd see on post. Because sometimes you'd have different branches intermingle. But we'd have Air Force because there was bases nearby. And we would have primarily Army on there. But, just think, if out of 42 kids, and let's say that the population was 250 million back then, you're 48 out of 250 million. You're not even 1% of a percent, And so your experience is so rare and it's so special that you're the only people that were at the concert. You get a private showing with Led Zeppelin, just you and your 5 buddies, and no one's ever going to believe you. I mean, except your peers or your or something, right? So that's why it's such a trippy thing. I don't think, imagine trying to start a podcast, and I'm not putting it down, but let's say your high school in Vegas. Did everybody still live around there, or did they go off and have as many worldly experience as the people that, were shot by the catalysts of Vicenza out into the world all over the globe?
Right. No, a lot of them are still there, but a lot of them left, but they didn't have the experience we had. That's for sure.
Right. And that,
different experience.
Yeah, they have a cool experience, but it's like the story of being military brats. And then, some of these people traveled before they traveled and traveled after they traveled. So the global reach, a lot of people been all around the world in this group. And then you come to the States and you'll hear some, people that have money, because if you don't have money, it's kind of hard to travel to Europe. And some upper middle class rich people or something like, oh, I went to Asiago and ate the cheese right off the wheel. like, yeah, we do that all the time. So at the grocery store, I don't know what you're talking about, man. And there's probably some Italian guy. Oh, I went to the Las Vegas. It's very beautiful. The sky is all light up. The fountains is better than Italy. And you're like, you were here for 24 hours, hang out for a week, and then tell me what you're going to say about it. It just depends,
Right.
how you take that experience from it. Right. But you've talked to the Vicenza people over the years. Having a guitar was always like a good thing to have. That was better than having a Harley back in those days. If you
Oh
could play
yeah,
guitar,
absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because you
Yeah.
could bring music to whatever scene you were at.
Man,
So
I played Angie. Cheap Trick. Remember when Cheap Trick came to play Vicenza?
we were there. Okay, that's a good conversation at the base. That was my
Yeah,
first
yeah.
concert
So
ever.
it was called the First Airborne Rock Division, and all these guys were ex-paratroopers. It was Cheap Trick. It was members of different bands, guys from Kansas, guys from
Kansas,
Santana.
LaRue, yeah, Santana.
Uh,
Carlos was there, lead guitar in it, I think.
yeah, I think so. And Stephen Stills was there.
Steven Stills from Crosby, Stills, Nash, yeah.
So I got to be on the crew putting the stage together. So we put the stage together and it's sound check, and we're sitting on the bleachers, and I got my guitar, and who comes over but Robin Zander, the singer for Cheap Trick, and he sits down next to us. And he goes, hey, can I see your guitar? And I said, yeah, sure. And he started strumming on a little bit, and he goes, you know any Cheap Trick? And I don't know. He handed it back to me. And he goes, what were you playing earlier? And I said, A&G by the Rolling Stones. He goes, play it. I was really shy back then.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
yeah, and everybody was like, oh, play it, man, play it. Well, I sat on the bleachers and I played Angie, and Robin Zander sang it.
That's
So I
pretty
did
cool.
it's pretty cool, yeah. That was another great experience. I've
Full
had a lot of
circle.
experiences being in the business like that, but when I was 16 years old, I never experienced anything like that.
Well, I think you were probably also familiar with Fred Puatua because he used to play bass.
Yes, I remember Fred Puatua.
Yeah, he was hanging backstage with them because I thought for sure Fred would be a famous rock star because he had the charisma, had the look, and he was good. He went from bass to six string later, because there's only
Right,
so much you can only,
right.
that was the era of solos, the Eddie Van Halens, the other type of people that would rip and roar on the guitar. So you had to be a great soloist to stand out, run, play, and lead, right?
Yep.
And yeah, I went to guitar class, but I can't play one for crap, so don't even ask.
At
But
Vicenza, you took guitar class?
yeah, I kept breaking my strings. I could never hold down the chord. I was just
I
sitting.
took that. I took that class, but I was already. He just put me in the back and said, "Just play," and he gave me an A.
D. Tommaso's, right?
Yeah.
Yep, yep. So I remember that concert. That was my first concert, and we were going there. It was in the gymnasium. It was a USO tour,
Yep.
and I had never thought I was going to ever see a concert. I think my buddy Mark or somebody had, got permission or snuck off to Germany and saw the Monsters of Rock. And that was like probably the Woodstock of high school, to go see that
Right.
because all the hot bands were playing. You had your Van Halen, you had Motley Crue, Rat, all these people, AC/DC, Black and Blue,
Right.
all these groups were jamming. And you're in Germany and, there's 6-foot beers and yeah, this is the place to be.
Right.
So they weren't letting people bring bottles in, but he told me people were bringing in beer in gas tanks, the ones that you fill up like the 5-liter gas tanks.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was a sight to hear about. But, I was like, damn it. And then, when I talked with Richard Collins earlier, and I think he was talking about Phil Collins or something, I forget, but I know some people made it, it wasn't Phil Collins. It was I brought up the Eagles, Jackson Brown. It was Jackson
Right.
Brown. Because Jackson Brown had a concert there. Some kids ran up to Milan to go see that, you know. And I think the Rolling Stones came once, but it was always in Milano. Nothing was like, they were not going to come rock Vicenza. So that was the closest Vicenza had seen, having been there since I was 5 years old. I'd not seen any live acts, man. So,
Right.
gee, I mean, if you were there, what year was that? 82? Was that rocking out? I think so. I
No,
think
I think that's when I came back. It was probably 84.
84.
Actually,
Yeah, it was
actually,
84. It was 84.
Actually, I still have the poster from that show.
Yeah, I found it
Yeah.
online somewhere. And I was like, I was trying to find out more about it, like what date it was played, you know? And so it was in 84. It was on post, and the line was around everywhere, and everyone was going to see it. And that was like
Yeah.
a good USO thing. That was a special thing because
That was a big thing.
Italy was always a little behind the times.
Yes,
Kids,
absolutely.
kids would come to Italy and tell me how they went to a Kiss concert or something. I'm like, damn it, you got to go to the States, man. And
Yeah,
that's what I
know,
wanted to
know.
do, right? So
When Fred Puatua moved to Italy, I made friends with him because he was kind of a rock guy too. And I went to his house, and he had a VHS tape of MTV, and I wasn't familiar. I knew what it was, but I'd never seen it. And I would just saw video after video after video, and it was Fred Puatua that turned me on to that.
oh, you must have been hooked.
Oh yeah, you bet.
Play it again, play it again. Like we used to play something 100 times. Today we're like, okay, I saw the video, but back then, well, I'm going to show you something crazy. I mean, because I can share screens here.
Okay.
Fred Puatua rocking out, man.
Okay.
This is a video of Fred Puatua rocking out. This is my senior graduation party. Somebody filmed this. Wait, let's get this going.
Oh, there he is.
You see him?
Yeah.
The music's right. Look at all the beer. This is graduation party. We are of legal age to drink. Right?
Right.
I mean, it's insane. You don't see this in American graduation parties. What else we got here? Yeah, he's lining up his band. I want to get him rocking here. Hang on. Trying to skip ahead.
Oh, there you go. There's the party.
Right? And some familiar faces in there.
I'm surprised you have video, because back then nobody carried around.
Somebody
video.
filmed this. This was an Italian band that Fred met up with, and they were good.
Oh, okay.
And he had a great lead singer. Where is he? He's singing. Yeah, he was singing all kinds of stuff. There's Fred.
There he is.
Yeah. I think he was singing Dawkins. I think it's Dawkins. Yeah.
Is that you in the white shirt right there?
That's Mark Parkins.
Oh, it was. Okay. Oh, how fun.
Oh, they're singing Sweet Lucy Was a Dancer. What's that song? That's funny.
That is funny.
Isn't that crazy? Like, you're like, wow, what kind of podcast is this, man? You're giving me flashbacks. That's my whole,
well, that's what it's for, right?
That's my
flashbacks.
whole goal, is to take you to flashbacks. Like I was talking to somebody, I'm like, the podcast was invented, and it may show up on other podcasts. Sometimes it'll sound like I'm repeating myself, but the podcast was basically everybody hanging out after a wild weekend at the snack bar on Post, talking about, oh, dude, man, I was in Germany. That was we were in Venice, and we get a free gondola ride and whatever. It's like people were sharing, oh, we were off in Aviano, man. They got this over there. You got to check it out. So we get this new tape, man. I got the new album. They flew it in. So it was always something. So we didn't have the internet. We weren't instant messaging each other. We were all like convening on a meeting, whether it be on the North 40 by the cigarette bench, or was it by, the teen club or the cafeteria or the Villaggio bus stop or something, So that was kind of how it worked. So that must have been exciting for you coming out of Vegas, which wasn't as built up back then. It was kind of deserty back then, slower years, right?
Well, it was interesting. I was 16, and my family was not military.
No,
no, my father worked with the military. He sold life insurance to GIs, so he had access to the post. And I was, I guess it was like a private school for me.
Right.
I had to go meet the major, and he had to okay me and my father. You had to meet him, and I think my father paid somebody or some entity money to allow me to go to school there.
Well, there's a few people that were on that trip. I mean, there's a guy.
It was a private school for me, really.
It was a private school level education, believe it or not.
Right.
And some other guy, Gregor Habsburg, who's in the movie biz, who's part of, I guess he's part of Austrian royalty or related to it somehow. He went to our school, and he would live in Venice and commute to Vicenza.
Wow.
Because that was the only American private school. So there'd be people that their dad may not be on the army there, and they would get in there. So, yeah.
But it was pretty amazing for me. So I'm 16, and I'm not military, and my dad's working for Prudential Life Insurance, and they sat me down. I was the last child, and they said, at 16, they said, we're moving to Italy. And I thought, oh no, I want to live the American, a dream, kid, being get a Camaro and, be a cool kid, and at 16. And I thought, oh my God, I'm thinking old school, like, horse with a cart with straw in it, third world country. I'm thinking, even though I had been there, because I am half Italian, so I have family in Rome, and I'd been there. a few times, to visit, but still, that was my thought.
Oh, well, maybe
And when I,
before you run on that, maybe you thought you would be running in, you ran into some old relatives and they lived out in the farm and you saw the bale of wheat and hey, you're like, oh, just like, Aunt so-and-so's house or,
right,
Nona's house. You're like, oh,
right,
this is going to suck because
right,
you
right,
met the old school side of your family. It wasn't the modern American integration of it all, right?
right. So I was like, oh no, I don't want to do that. And so I went there and, was like not happy about it. But I'll tell you, once I realized what experience that, what a great experience that I was fortunate enough to experience, it blew me away. And I made some great friends there. And, when I look back at my school days, Vicenza is probably the happiest days, really.
That was the launching pad. You felt like you could do anything. You felt
Yeah.
like if things are like this, I can go back and do that. And it was all based on your imagination. Like, what am I going to be? What am I going to do? How am I going to integrate? So you're running through somewhat of a business survival social plan in your head as you jump on the plane to the United States. Unless you were going like with your dad to a base, you're like, okay, well, I'll go to their housing and then I'll meet the new kids. You kind of get a plan. But
Right.
you're going back for college, you know, you're rolling out there. You're like, oh, I'm going to go to this college. I'm going to do that. Well, I didn't go to college. I went to the Navy. So I didn't have to figure too much out. It was just another military. It was a whole different culture than the Army, though.
Right.
Way different. And the nice thing about the Navy is that you got to always live near the beach. At least 90% of the options were by the beach, right?
Nice. Yeah.
So, Florida, California, going out to sea, traveling the world, it wasn't my goal. But I always joke about this because I remember my mom gave me this GI Joe when I was a little boy in Germany. Like, here's your GI Joe, and it came with a motorized shark, and I didn't want to put it in the bathtub because I thought it would eat me. I think it was like 3 or something or 4, and it was the GI Joe sailor version. And I'm like, yeah. And then, I said this before, I started watching Italian TV when I got there in the 70s, and they had Popeye in English because they didn't have dubbing yet. They couldn't dub the words over, right? Or they hadn't figured it out. So I'm like, yeah, Popeye. Oh, now it's Braccio di Ferro, arm of steel. And, it's all in Italian. They changed his voice too. What happened? So, I had to learn Italian, which I did. I was learning it anyways. I wanted to learn how to get candy and whatever, So I certainly figured that out. But, I lived there a long time. I got to see people come and go.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, so I get to see you and see him. So everyone brings a unique perspective. But to me, it's like you go over from the States and like, whoa, big change for you, but a positive change, And then you kept trying to stay in Europe, obviously. You were like, I want to stick around. I'll stay in school. You weren't running back to the States after you get a taste, it seems.
Right.
So were you, go ahead.
Well, what I did miss was, the big city and a little more opportunity with music, American music and things like that. So I did kind of long to go back, but at the same time, it was, it was a great little place. I mean, I have some of my best memories are from there, really. I'm in my 50s.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
It is.
And I bring it up because someone will say something and then you go right back to it. If I say Monteberico, you might remember having a beer up there with your buddies who brought a Cougar, right? Looking over the city. If I say Villaggio, you might remember some house party. If I say North 40, if I say, anything.
Absolutely. Yep.
And Venice, of course, we all had our different versions of Venice. And I don't know, did you get a chance to go skiing at all, or where did you?
What was that, Marostica?
No, I went to Marostica. No skiing there. That was just where they played human chess. But they
that's right. So
right?
I never got to go skiing up there.
Marostica and the human chess was funny because someone had to sweep up all the horse dung that, they're just dropping it.
That was pretty cool, though.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
That was a good one. Where else did you travel outside of Vicenza? Like, where did you check out?
Siena.
Okay.
With all the flags, right?
Yeah, where they have that. Is that where they have that game once a year where they all they play like a version of tackle soccer with punching? I saw some on Netflix the other day.
I don't know about that, but I remember there was lots of flags, tons of flags everywhere.
Okay.
We went to a lot. Elba, the island
Mm-hmm.
of Elba down south, uh, Rimini.
Nice
Um,
beaches. You picked the like hot spots for beaches.
oh yeah, Rimini was awesome.
So
Um,
was your parents into traveling like, hey, we're getting out of here this weekend, we're gonna go see something, or was this you with your buddies just taking off?
it was both.
Yeah.
It was both. Yeah, I know my mom was Italian.
Okay. So were you speaking Italian then, or did you learn it at them?
Broken Italian. I was, I took it in class, but most of my friends were Italian Americans. Um, and I did have some Italian friends, but they spoke a little English. So, just kind of a broken Italian with English. I got by. Never fluent,
I was trying to see who else you knew. So you knew of Derek,
right?
right? Derek. Okay. Did you know the Spittles too, like Teddy and Marcos at that time? It would have
At
been, yeah.
that time, I knew who they were, but I didn't associate with them. They were younger.
Yeah, they were kids then. And then they were gone when
I
you came back when I was older and you were older. Yeah.
Right. So I kind of, I remember Ted, when I came back, Kenny Belinsky, I think Rick Austin was still there. He was going out with a girl named Michelle. I forgot her last name. Who else did I hang out with? The Donahues.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Derek's brother was older, I think, Lenny. So he
Yeah.
was, or was it Lenny?
Might have been. I don't know. I'm the guy that was Lenny at one time. There might have been another one. Who knows? We'll
It
find
might
out.
have been, I'm
He
trying to
did.
think. Yeah.
He had an older brother, but he said that he took off out of there getting some mischief or something at one point.
Yeah, he did. He had some trouble. But George McFadden, his dad was the general at the time in '82.
I think I hung out with him at a reunion.
George and his brother Bill, his younger brother Bill.
Didn't
You
they
might
have
know.
a house over that had a swimming pool near Villaggio, this like big villa or something that they
Yeah, he
had?
lived in a big villa, and there was actually a Carabinieri post outside the gate there. And
Right.
when I got a story. One time, his parents were out of town, and it was right around the time General Dozier got kidnapped
Mm-hmm.
in Verona. So the Carabinieri were on high alert, and they're guarding the general's house. Well, me and Jack Porter, we got a case of beer, and we're walking over there, and all of a sudden the Carabinieris come out of nowhere, and they got their Uzis pointed at our chests, and they're like, "Hey, ID." And we're like, "We're here to see George. We're here to see George." And Jack spoke Italian, so he rapped with them, and we gave them their ID. They called George. George said, "Yeah, I invited them, let them in," and so they let us pass. But having an Uzi in your chest is probably not a very comfortable feeling.
Oh yeah.
They were like, "Open your jacket,"
I had a few run-ins with them.
Yeah.
I remember one night they pulled me over because I was looking for my buddies and I was just walking and I don't know, they looked at my ID card and my dad's the PE teacher. They go, what is GS11? I go, that means General 11th Star. And they just, oh, he's a general. They let me go. They didn't know what it was for. There's no such thing as an 11-star general, but hey, it worked in the moment, right?
Hey, I got in trouble with George in the in the tennis rack, in the tennis area of the O Club,
Mm-hmm.
of the officers club. And an MP approached us and we could have gotten in trouble, but since I was with the general's son, they said, "Don't do this here, do it off post, get out of here."
Oh yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like you're tempted to drink some beers on post if you're just under
Right,
the age
right,
or whatever,
right,
because the GIs would just prop up in front of their barracks and just barbecue and drink beer all day.
right,
And for us, me as a kid, I started partying early because it was available, just like a lot of people.
right,
But obviously it hasn't slowed me down. I'm not talking like I need air pump back into me. You know,
right, of course.
yeah. So I looked at it, we go, well, would we want our kids to experience the same thing we did? Well, here's the problem. We can't roll back the time machine. The world has changed so dynamically in a lot of ways that aren't so good that we have more enemies to the United States than ever, more potential terrorism than ever. So yeah, it's not really the same environment to let your kid just run free downtown Vicenza.
Not at all.
And there's a lot
Not
more
at all.
crime there now too.
That's what I hear. I do know, like Daniela Austin. You know Daniela?
Yeah, I know Daniel.
She still lives there. That's Harry's younger sister.
Oh, I know both of them. Yeah.
Cinzia Iapollo, she lives in Vicenza, I believe.
Yeah. Johnny Kohut and
Who?
Johnny Kohut.
Okay.
He did a lot of coaching and stuff, and now I think he might be part of the school faculty. I'm going to find out. I talked to him the other day. He's been at every high school reunion ever. I call him the ambassador. Um, but
Wow.
and then there's Richard Collins, who's over
Right. I
there.
remember Richard. Yeah.
Did you know Dan Frigo too?
The name sounds very familiar, but I don't see a face in my head when you say that name, but I know the name.
Because you guys are kind of close in that same kind of graduating era. Did you know the Cavolis at all?
Yes. I
Okay.
remember Cavolis.
And now the Cavoli's the general, and he pops up in all the stories. Like
I know.
I have people
He's
tell
the
me,
lead general of Europe for the army.
isn't that wild?
That
And
is
it's
crazy.
like, wait, we can't have him on until we have enough podcasts because it's like the Where is Waldo? Because one of his friends told me that his brother was on a plane, and I'd have to have him tell the story. I guess I'll make the short version, that he's flying a big C-130 and someone walks in the cockpit and it's his classmate Cavoli. He's like, what? Of all the
Wow.
places he could pop up, and then someone else will have a story. I was on the side of a road in Texas hitchhiking, and it was Mr. Cavoli pulling up to get me.
Right.
It's not Kaiser Sose, but what is it that, you have you planned on going back, hope to go back? I know it's hard for a lot of, right now we can't do anything.
Yeah, I would like to go back. Absolutely. I would like to go back.
And since it's changed, was there anything that you want to see now that you didn't see then?
Not necessarily. I just want to feel the vibe and go to the park and see Daniela. And Rick might be moving back over there soon, so I'd have a place to stay, which is nice too. I'd probably travel solo, but what was your question?
That's okay. Don't worry. Do you have dual citizenship, Italian citizenship?
No, I do not. No, that's very hard to get. You have it?
No, not at all.
Okay. It's very hard. My sister has it, but it's very hard to get in it. And she just left Italy like 2 years ago. She was living in Aviano.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it was even living there, it was very hard to get a dual citizenship. It took years.
Really?
Yeah, it took a couple of years.
That was the thing. That's part of why you had to go to the States, because if you didn't have that, you were not going to get a job locally. I know some people have from our school. They went and they get their diplomas. I was talking to Gina Miller. I guess her and her brother, I guess they continued their college in Italian or something, and they must have had some Italian family as well. So they're still there. They're still over there. And there is an interesting side. Like if I would have stayed there forever, I wish I would have came over here. I would have always wanted to come to the States. So I'm glad that I did.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, you missed the States, but still you appreciated what you had,
So music-wise, what are you up to now? Are you still playing? Are you still in the music?
Well, I am still playing. I moved, I'm in Arkansas now. I was in Vegas up until a couple years ago. My dad was 95. My older sister was sick, and we moved them up here where my sister had retired. One of my sisters retired, so I wanted to spend the last few years with my dad. So I moved here to help with my sick sister and to spend time with my father. And since then, about 6 months later, when I got here, they both passed away. And so I was going to go back to Vegas, and there was still some business to do. And once the business was finalized, the COVID thing was going on.
Right.
So I decided I didn't want to be in a big city right now. I'd rather be in a rural area.
Right.
So especially with all the chaos and the civil unrest, well, that didn't happen then. But so I don't know. I just bought a house, and I'm here for a while.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah,
I've been near there. I've been near there. One of my former Navy bosses lives out there, Little Rock. And I've been to Branson. I like Branson. I went and visited a guy that I podcasted with on a Navy podcast. And Branson was cooler than I thought it would be.
I have not been there. I'm about 2 hours from it, but I've never been there yet.
Oh, lots of lakes, I mean.
Oh, there's tons of, I'm in the Ozarks. So I'm northern Arkansas, northwest Arkansas. We're in the Ozarks. It's beautiful here. It really is.
And
lots
it's more affordable than Vegas too, I think.
Oh, way more affordable.
Right?
That was another decision about staying here, was the affordability.
That's nice though, man.
Yeah, I like it. I do like it.
And it's like more easy pace. You feel less stress than the big city.
Absolutely. There's no traffic. I mean, people bitch about, oh, this street or that street. And I'm like, you don't have a clue what traffic is, you know?
Right. You're like, that's not traffic.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So I kind of like being able to breathe, and the air is cleaner and people are nice and there's less people. And I like that, to tell you the truth.
That's pretty cool. So I wonder if there's any other alumni that live out there.
I don't know. That'd be interesting to know because this little pocket, Northwest Arkansas, is, it's been on the best place to live and cheapest place, best place to retire, whatever. On a lot of those things, it's been on this area.
How is the weather? Is it hot and dry, or is it humidity, or what's?
Right now, well, we're having a heat wave for the United States, but right now it's like today was probably 93, and not humidity wasn't too bad, but it can get bad.
Does it matter if you're near the lake or not, or
probably, or more near the trees, more near the lake? Yeah, absolutely. But I'm not far from the trees, but I'm not in the trees.
There you go. Well, but, who else do you want to see me get on here? Who would you like to hear from that you haven't heard from in a while?
I'd love to get George McFadden on there.
That'd be cool.
That would be cool. Who else? Brian Farrell's a great guy. Brian Farrell's amazing. When I was sick, he's a anesthesiologist, and he knows, I didn't know what to expect. He really held my hand through the whole thing, and it told me what to expect and what's going to happen and blah, blah, blah. And he was like an angel, man. I love that guy.
That's
Brian
awesome.
Farrell. Yeah.
The Brian Farrell and McFadden. Those would be two good guys.
Yeah. And then who else? Trying to think of who else. Renee Donahue, maybe?
Okay. Well, if you have their contacts, make sure you send them to me.
Or I do.
Tell them to come on the show. Say, I got to get you on the show. So here's my plan, okay? And everybody's hearing me as I'm doing this. I just did 3 podcasts. Actually, I did 4. This is the 5th. So I did Derek, and then I did Lisa Rolick, and then I finished up with Mike Walker, who I went to 6th grade with.
Oh, wow.
And so what I'm going to do after that is kind of have like a happy hour weekend with them, or if they want to have a drink or whatever, so I'll have all 4 of the people that were just individual and let them talk amongst each other, and they'd heard each other's podcast too. It's pretty cool.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, that is
right.
Cool. Yeah.
So it's not just like linear. Like, I'm not here really to interrogate. I'm here to talk story, just to have a hangout. I could do like, so tell me, what was your favorite kind of pants to wear in the 8th grade?
I've got a story about, you were talking about bands didn't come to Vicenza. Well, a few of them came to Padova.
Oh, really?
And one time, what's that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And so Clapton played Padova and also Verona.
Oh, wow.
Bob Dylan played Verona. He played at the arena.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Rick Austin went there, but we didn't get tickets. So we just kind of hung out outside the arena, but we could hear it. But anyway, so Jethro Tull played in Padova, and a bunch of us went down there on the bus to go see it. Well, the Italians sold more tickets than the venue could hold.
Wow.
So there was so many people packed in there that it was insane. And somehow the Carabinieri came, and I guess there was chaos. People were pissed because they couldn't get in, and they started smashing windows. And next thing you know, the Carabinieri show up, or the riot squad or whatever, and I started hearing like what sounds like hitting a watermelon with a stick, and I realized they're hitting heads with nightsticks.
Wow.
Because the Italians are pissed because they have tickets and they can't get in. Well, from what I understand, while they were on stage, they put tear gas in the ventilation system. The band had gas masks on. I didn't see it. I was outside. I didn't get in. But and then they opened the doors and everybody came flooding out. And then once that cooled off, everybody went running back in. But we got the hell out of there.
Group two, you're next.
We got the hell out of there because
the rock and roll gas mask experience. I mean,
yeah, we were
until you've done it.
I saw people ripping, breaking windows and trying to rip them open. And we were by the ticket counter, and it was like a ledge, and we kind of ducked between the ledge, and just to get out of there, we had to crouch down, and we were under the ledge, under the counter along the building, and got out of there. But that was crazy.
You know what's interesting? I was just thinking while you were talking how important music was to us then. because it took you on a journey and your imagination fed around it. And whatever happened at a peak point in your life, this song was playing when you won a football game. This song was playing when you met your
Oh
first
yeah.
girlfriend, or whatever it
Oh
was,
yeah.
right? And this song made you think of the States. It's like different foods, different tastes, different experience, right? So going in with music, these people, the perception of like, oh, they're so amazing. Oh, they're, one day I wonder if I'll ever meet them. They're so famous. Like they get blown up so big.
Right.
I've done video stuff, social media stuff with a lot of names. You've worked in the music business. You run into a lot of names. It's, working in a Guitar Center, you'll run into famous people coming by guitars. It doesn't matter, right? So sorry about that. This is me.
Okay.
Yeah, I met a lot of the people that were just on this tower in my mind, like, oh, we're in Italy, we'll never meet them, they're so famous, the video makes them look famous. Like, having shot video, I can make anybody look famous.
Right.
You know what I mean? I can pay a bunch of extras, and I can hire women to faint coming when guys come off a plane. There's a lot of ways to do things, but it's perception. But like, which of your big stars did you run into, whether you were playing and they saw you playing at your venue, or you were at, selling guitars?
Oh man, I got a list of, I could just go on and on, but I will tell you that I did get to play a gig with Sammy Hagar.
Very cool.
Which is very cool guy. I got opened up for people. We were really an opening band. The next step was to be the headliners, and we did very well as an opening band, but a little band called Nirvana came out and kind of ruined it for the hair bands that were just about there. We had a couple offers, but we were waiting for a better offer, and it never came because record companies didn't want to talk to hair bands anymore after Nirvana came out.
Yeah, just like
it changed Eclipse. Everything, right?
But you might as well have been in the .com business, just as the websites were cool.
I opened up for Pat Travers, if you know that name. Savatage was a heavy metal band that was a really big show for us, tour for us. Pretty Boy Floyd, a lot of LA bands because we were, based in Vegas. A lot of LA bands.
Did you ever play on the Strip at the Whiskey, those places?
A couple times just off the Strip, like a block off the Strip, but we never see back then in the 80s, the Strip was all about R&B. Because the people that had the money, that's what they liked. People in their 50s or whatever had more money, that's what they liked, so that's what they catered to. Now it's all classic rock. Now my friends are playing the Strip. Well, not right now because it's closed, but I never did do that. No, I was always into the original thing. Mostly the original music, and touring with national acts that were headliners and playing concert houses, not arenas, but concert houses.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
You get to do what you wanted when you grew up.
Yep.
I mean, I think I told the funny story how I met Tommy Lee, but, and I grew up listening to Motley Crue.
Yeah.
I might have dropped it. I'm going to go back. If not, I'll tell it later. But then, I go to Texas and I'm hanging out with, Pantera. They're just hanging out the same nightclub we are.
I was on the bill with Pantera one time.
Can't think of his name. The guy with the beard, the black beard, the guy that passed away recently, not Dimebag Darrell, but the drummer.
The drummer, he lived in Vegas. He died in Vegas, but I knew him. I ran into rub shoulders with him a lot. His name was Darrell Abbott. God, I can't think of his name.
It's okay. We know who we're talking about. Someone from Pantera.
Well, they were brothers.
Oh, okay.
Vinny Paul.
Vinny Paul.
Vinny Paul. Yes.
Vinny was cool.
Very cool guy.
Then I met the drummer from Rat at a barbecue. Because in Hollywood, what people don't know, you can just go hang out on the Strip. You'll meet anybody and everybody you ever thought of, right?
Oh yeah, you go to the Rainbow.
Right. Go to the Rainbow Room, right? I went there. Great food, by the way. Great pizza and pasta, man. Good stuff. It doesn't look like it's going to taste good, but it actually damn tastes good. I'm surprised by it, right? That's the funny thing about that area. I spent a lot of time hanging out in LA and stuff. And you're driving, me and my friend are parking our car, and we're watching movies over in Italy, about, this movie, I don't know, Pretty in Pink, or one of the Scrap Pack, the kids that were making all those movies back then. And all of a sudden there's like Judd Nelson going, "Hey, what's up, man? That's a cool car you guys got." And like, oh, and then there's another movie star. Like, they're everywhere. So all you have to do is go to the Strip and you'll meet every celebrity in the world, and then you'll be over. It's not no longer a big deal. But when people seem like they're in a glass tower, the perception, and then when you're overseas, you're like building them up in your head like they're 400 feet tall.
Oh yeah, especially back then because there was a lot of mystery. We didn't have the internet and things to get a lot of pictures of these guys. So when you bought an album, there was a lot of mystery because they weren't accessible. Now they are, but they weren't accessible back then. So there was a lot of mystery and mystique to them. And you'd get the album cover and you look at the picture of them and go, oh, cool. Then you'd get the sleeve and there'd be some pictures from the road and you'd be like, oh, cool, but that's all you got.
Right.
Or a poster or Hit Parade or magazine or something. That's all you got.
That was their Instagram. That was their Instagram, the album cover, man.
Now it's now everybody's accessible. You can pay $300 when you go to the show and go back and talk to them and hang out with them, But going back to your question about who I've met, probably the biggest person that I ever met that I met everyone from BB King but as far as an influence, Kiss. I was a big Kiss fan when I was a kid before Vicenza.
I got into disco Kiss. I'm in the wrong part of Kiss.
Right. That's when I stopped listening to him. But
I figured. Go ahead.
I did get to meet Ace Frehley and tell him he was responsible for me playing, and he was actually really cool. A lot of people have met him and said he's not that cool, but he was very cool and receptive to me. And but that was a big one for me. But BB King, Ace Frehley, Pat Travers. I also drove a limo in Vegas too, so I met a lot of people.
Endless, right? Endless. I'm just telling you, I knew that you've been. Think of them right now. You've been to the well as I've been to the well, where it was endless.
Oh yeah.
I just like to talk about the mystique. I mean, from looking from the lens of Vicenza through a telescope towards the world, as we called it, where we're going to go back where it's just so much better than here. But the world is the world, and your attitude is the only thing that matters, and how you live your day. That's the only thing that you can really control and take with you, how you react to things. So
that's right.
It's funny. Like, it's going to be better there. The green grass over there and over there, escapism,
right.
That's like, I mean, speaking of music, I know this is a tangent, but you're a music guy, so I'm going in the music direction. But, Margaritaville, that guy's always singing about escaping people are listening to Wasting Away in Margaritaville, Jimmy Buffett, when they're up in a cold winter in Chicago and it's 30 below and they're like, man, I wish I was in Margaritaville on a sailboat, just drinking rum and waking up in the sun, man, because they're buying that escapism. Right. And I don't know, listening to the albums as they came in, the music on the Italian radio was not as fast as we had the top 40 from SEB. And then we had albums. When I got there, we had 8 tracks and cassettes and albums.
Right.
And then later it was just cassettes in your Walkman. And I don't think I was there when they had disc yet. I think disc came later. The Discman.
Right. Me too. Right.
Right. But playing a guitar was cool. And you could go set up a scene, man. You could go be the life of a party. It was
everybody would always let you into the party when you had a guitar. Play some music, man, whatever. So
yeah, some showmanship. I remember there was a bunch of guys that still hadn't found their way yet, and like, I'm not gonna bring in the guitar. It's not worth embarrassing myself. But there were some guys like you and Fred Puatula that really, get into it. And I think another guy, Steve Gregan. I don't know if you knew him.
I remember Steve Gregan. Yeah, he played guitar, blonde-haired guy. I remember him.
Yeah.
He ended up in Hollywood in the business.
He was building sound stages for the UFC or something last I talked to him, because we both were into that, and he was working in production and also doing his own music too, probably. But he was in the business from a high level technical side, probably working with SAG or something. But
I remember because me and him did a play in Vicenza, a high school play, and we played the music. Yeah.
Oh, so you guys get to both play together?
We did play. We did. I remember playing. Don't come back no more. Hit the road, Jack. I remember playing that song, and it was a play. So we had a live band, so we played the music. That was pretty cool.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
So yeah, most of the guitar guys, Journey of the Guitar Guy. That's the name of the podcast, right? My buddy Fred Puatua joined the Army. Then he went off to LA and ended up doing studio music, for like. Who's the guy that made E.T.? I can't think of his name. The producer, big movie producer. Like the guy made Star Wars. I think that's who it was. Lucasfilms, yeah, Lucasfilms, yeah.
George Lucas.
Yeah, he was doing that, but he was walking around with the yellow shirt and the leather pants and the long hair and like that. The strip, towards the probably the end of the metal band, hair band, metal band time.
Right.
And he enjoyed it, but then it was back to real life, and did a lot of things since. I haven't been able to talk to him in a while, but I share the parallels with you.
Yeah. So what happened with me is after we left Germany in '86, I went back to Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Looked up some of my friends. I had just started going out with this young female singer before I left to Italy. So when I came back, she was in a very popular band, really popular original band, and they were on the radio. And I was like, wow. Well, we started going out again, and I really learned the ropes because I was at rehearsals every night with her and her band, and I really learned the ropes of how to rehearse and how to book gigs and how to do all that was hanging out with her. Well, soon after that, I started my own thing. And I had written some songs, a handful of songs, and I said, I want to put a band around this. So I found some guys and wasn't confident about my singing at the time. So I hired a singer and we started playing, and we were called Pettey Crime. My last name, Pettey.
Very
Crime. Cool. I was not here. But so we were Pettey Crime, and we did very well. In 2000, we lasted probably 86 to 93 with two different singers, two different bass players, same drummer and me that started it. And we did really well. And, we played California, we played Arizona, Utah, Nevada. Where else did we get? We might've got up to Oregon, but, but anyway, we did pretty well. And then it dissolved in '93 because of everything that was going on. And in 2013, I was proud to say that I was inducted into the Las Vegas Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Nice, congrats.
The work that I did with Pettey Crime. And I have a certificate and everything, and they have reunions all the time. And I got to play the event. And that's all stored at University of Las Vegas, has that stored in their history department of Las Vegas. That is stored there. And my name is there as being an inductee for my band Pettey Crime, which is pretty cool.
That's pretty neat. So this is turning out to be the VH1 show of Where Are They Now?
Oh, there you go. I'm in Arkansas now, but
right. Where are they? He's in Arkansas.
Right.
And his neighbor is Ace Frehley. No, I'm joking. But Britney Spears.
But yeah, I still play. I'm in the guitar room right now. I don't know if you can.
Oh, wow.
Can't really see. There's some guitars.
Look at those guys. Nice.
There's some amps over there. But anyway, I still play and I still love it. It
That's
really,
great.
My father was a musician. I don't know if you knew that.
I didn't know that. No.
Yeah, he was a professional musician until I was born, and then he realized he couldn't raise 4 kids on a musician's salary, so he got into the insurance business and did very well for himself. But he played big band swing jazz.
That's pretty cool.
And I have a really cool story. One time I was playing a gig, probably one of our biggest gigs in Las Vegas, at a place called Calamity Jane's Concert House. And the place is packed. There's probably 500 kids packed in this place. So we're rocking out. And in between songs, kids are all the way up to the front of the stage, and I'm slapping hands. And, so when a song ends and I start slapping hands with these kids, and all of a sudden I slap this hand, and it's an old hand. And I follow, with my eyes, I go down the arm and I look at it's my dad. Here's my 78, at the time he was probably 78, 79. Here he is with his new wife, the same age, and they're surrounded by all these mobs of kids. And I go, what are you doing here? And he goes, I came to see you. He goes, but it's so loud. He goes, I have to go. It's too loud. And I said, okay, well, thanks for coming, and I finished the set. Well, it turns out that he came to see me, and he went to the door, and I knew the bouncers, and the bouncer said, oh, sir, this is a rock club. There's rock music tonight. And he goes, I know, my son's playing. And the bouncer said, his name was Adam. He said, well, what's your son's name? He said, Mike Pettey. And he goes, Mike Pettey. He goes, he's on the stage right now. He goes, follow me, sir. And he cleared everybody out of the way, all the way from the back of the room, all the way to the front. Pretty big concert hall. Pulled all the kids out of the way and brought him right up to the front of the stage. And, later my dad told me how proud he was of me because there were so many people, and he was very proud of me. And that's probably, probably the proudest moment.
That's
That was
nice,
very
man.
cool. That was
That's
very
really
cool. He's
nice.
a musician, and he inspired me a lot, and edged me on, and so that was really cool.
Where did you like to play up in the Santa Cruz area? Like, where were you jamming up there?
Santa Cruz, we were playing Moe's Alley. You know Moe's Alley?
I think so, yeah.
The Catalyst. I worked at the music store right next to the Catalyst, so we would play the Catalyst, not the large room, but the small room. Where else did we play? We played in San Jose at a place called The Usual.
Okay.
I was in a band called Cage. It was this Swiss blonde built singer, and then she had me in a cage in a guitar on the stage. I couldn't move. I was in a cage, actually in a cage. And it was called Cage, and the bass player was in a cage on the other side, and the drummer, and then she was in the front. But she was a big blonde Swedish bombshell, and
Get in the cage now. Yeah.
that was pretty cool. But
Hey, we're going to use the canary concept. Canaries like to sing, but you're a canary that plays guitar. Get in the cage, dude. No.
And I think we played Monterey too. I forgot the name of the place. It was like a cellar type place. I can't the name. It was a guy's name, but we played Monterey as well.
So you had a good little circuit. I mean, Monterey has some historic. I think Hendrix played there.
Is that right?
I think so.
Monterey Pop Festival. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Right. So you're going in the shadows of the greats, and you're in there in your moment, and all that matters is your moment when you're there, but you don't realize it till later.
Right.
You take the story apart, but it's just like you being in music, being important act yourself, running into other acts, and the other acts. It's all size and volume and timing and who gets the deal when they get the deal.
Yep. Who you know, who you meet.
And you still get your connections to it, and they all still want to jam, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
Right.
So I just do it for fun these days. It's my passion. I love it. It's a good release for me. It relaxes me. It's what I do. It's my thing.
I'm surprised how much I know about music, man. It's funny. The weird thing is I don't really go hunting for music like I used to. I kind of turn it off for a bit, like anything.
Yeah.
Like up until so many years, I stopped buying albums, or I stopped trying to get the new album, and I don't know, and I stopped tuning into the radio. Now I just listen to podcasts. That's weird. It is weird, but I have to know music when I do video editing. I have to timing and tempo and line it up on the beats, and the when you're doing intervals and you're doing changes and all that kind of stuff. So but I go for non-commercial, non-copyright stuff, because you can't take a track. There's algorithms on YouTube. So if I was like jamming, hey, welcome, it's Mike Perry, and I'm jamming AC/DC, they would just rip this off of YouTube.
Oh yeah. Black Sabbath is notorious for that. You put up Black Sabbath on YouTube, it's gone in a matter of hours.
Now it's everything.
And they cease and desist you,
And so now even people that are DJs that play other people's music that we're trying to live stream on Facebook, they shut them down.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
But they usually take a sample, a very short sample, and they can get away with that if it's short enough.
Well, maybe if you sample, you do a remix or a mashup. But if let's say I'm like, okay, now I'm going to put on this album, Bob Dylan. Okay, I put it on. It plays for like a minute. Boom, you guys are off. It picks it up. The algorithm hears all the.
Wow. Yeah. Amazing.
Artificial intelligence just scanning the airwaves on the videos, going, oh, this is not copywritten. So there's guys I was in the Navy with, and they were trying to spin records, just like house DJs. They were not house music, like making their own version of the mix, but just playing another song, like a guy DJ at the nightclub, old school style, like a teen club DJ. Okay, that's the kind of DJ. So yeah, that's changed, but you can make your own music, so you're fine. Yeah, you can play your own version of it, so they're not gonna. Do you have a YouTube channel or anything you put your stuff on?
I do have some stuff out there. It's not under Mike Pettey. There's another Mike Pettey out there that does acoustic stuff. So it's under a different name, but I do have some stuff up there, yeah.
You have to compete with yourself against yourself, man. No.
There's an imposter out there.
Well, tell your buddies about the podcast. Tell him
Well,
I want to see him on here. And, I appreciate you coming on, Mike. It's good. And I'm glad that the Cougars were able to rally around you in time that you needed it.
oh man, they did. So, some great people, really, and not only a couple of them. There was multiple donations.
Wow.
I was really blown away. Because some of us have become doctors and anesthesiologists and
Yeah.
generals.
Oh, yeah. Look at the
Yeah,
stats, man. Look at the stats from that
that's
little high
what
school. I mean,
that's
how
what
would
you and Derek were saying.
right? What would you say if you look at the Vegas school compared to a Vicenza school? Because it's different. That's all like locally grown, the Vegas school for the most part, right?
Right.
Whereas Vicenza is like all 50 states. So that's what makes the chemistry.
That's true.
That's what I think makes the differential. It's not like everybody from so-and-so Ohio went to the school. Where are they going to be? Well, a lot of them looked around. My dad works at the coal mine. His dad works at the auto shop.
Right.
And that's what they become.
Right.
And then there's the wild, inventive kind that gets stimulated. I'm going to LA. I'm going to be a furniture designer. Oh, okay. There's that one random cat that has that in them.
Right.
But the thing is, I think that by being a Vicenza Cougar and being exposed to Europe and traveling, Rolling Stone gathers no moss. So we get used to just going and doing.
Right.
And finding and discovering and seeing if we can up that game and up that experience and up that experience. And, great for a musician. That's what that's all about. But you go overseas, you come back to the States and you're like, hey, this city's not enough. I know I can do more. I know I can do better. And you just have this thing. You keep pushing yourself. That's part of what you get from growing in that environment. Because you're in school with kids from all 50 states and other people that work on bass, and you're getting all the intel of where to go. For me, it was California. I did the math. I go, I'm not going to go back and move to this state, this state, this state, this state. My family's from the East Coast, but I saw all the movies like Xanadu of pretty girls roller skating on the beach. I'm going to California, man. They didn't have them roller skating in Arkansas. No.
That's right. Hey, California is great, but it's pricey. It's definitely pricey.
California is the evil mistress.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But the beaches, the Pacific is amazing, and the beaches and the girls rollerblading down the beach, is pretty awesome.
It's got the vibe, but then when you're standing there, the taxi meter's ticking and the fare is up because it's that expensive.
Well, what was great about Vegas is it was a 4.5 hour drive, and I could be on the beach.
That's true. That's true.
So it was a nice, if you wanted a 3-day getaway, boom, just drive 4.5 hours. You're in, Huntington Beach. Get a room on the beach. You're good to go. So
that's not too
bad. You didn't have to pay the insane prices.
So you're gonna start throwing lake concerts out by your house, huh? At the North 40. You're gonna start throwing North 40 concerts, North 40 Cougar concerts. People are like, "What the hell's a North 40 Cougar concert?"
Which Cougar are you talking about?
Right, exactly. They're like, and it gets misinterpreted, them not knowing the Vicenza Cougars, and he thinks he's got it like that with all the Cougars, this guy. Yeah, okay.
But I think that, the education that we did get is we were, small school, so we had less kids in class than they have today,
Mm-hmm.
And we had some really cool teachers. Some very, Mr. Robbins, Hakeem. There were some great teachers there, that really cared. And I think between less kids in class and the experiences, being in the experiences and
it was a private school. It was a high-level private school that just looked like it was a military school. But
right.
Making me do the math. I talked about this with Richard earlier. It was dual culture. You had double culture, so you had a secondary type of education going on. You were the other side of your mind was learning about something. And then you had all 50 states, and then you had these teachers that were teaching history that could take you down inside that Sistine Chapel, or see the statue of David live, or go to the arena in Verona, right?
Right. It was field trips,
3D. I'm not reading this stupid book. I want to look at a statue.
Right.
Sitting in the States.
We saw it live. I mean, even little things like Carnivale, you take for granted. when you say Carnivale to a lot of people, they don't know what you're talking about.
Oh my
They
God.
don't have a clue. Unless you say Venice, then they go, oh, okay. But they might, well, I guess you could say Brazil has Carnivale.
Brazil, yeah. Brazil would
Right.
be good.
But we learned a lot, just and took it for granted. The other kids wouldn't have a clue what we were talking about. Bridge of Sighs. Bridge of
Right.
Sighs is a Robin Trower song. I have a lot of friends that love that song, but they have no clue what the Bridge of Sighs is.
Right.
I walked through the Bridge of Sighs. I looked through that window and I sighed myself.
Right.
I went into the dungeons, I don't know if you can still do that, but.
Well, maybe not now, but eventually. I mean, Italy's opening up. A lot of the people I'm trying to book that are in Italy, like Johnny Kohut, is running around with the Generales and a bunch of people. They're like, let's go. Come on, boating. We're on the lake. And I just get Rich on. He was at the lake the other day. So it's like,
Lake Garda?
They've been kind of locked up in their houses. And now they're like, hey, man, I'm going to my other friend said he was going to Tuscany or Toscana. And so they're all busting out to some groovy vacation because they haven't done anything in 4 or 5 months, right?
Right.
So not only you get some money, I'm going first class, dude, because it's been a while.
That's right.
It's not like you were burning through your money as you were trying to get there anyway. So you're like, yeah, I'm going good.
Right.
I don't know. I get your friends over here. I will try to get them on. It is good to catch up with the rock star life and get the behind the story of where is he now in Arkansas. If you guys want some rocking in Arkansas, you get to reach out and say hi to Mike Pettey. Make sure you hit him up on Facebook.
There you
It's been
go.
a great podcast, man. Thanks for coming on, dude.
Thanks, Len. I appreciate you inviting me. It was very cool.